Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing on the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast for this week. And this week, we'll do something a little different. It is a profile, but it's a profile from way back, and it's a profile of something from right now, too. You still have a couple of weeks to take advantage of a Park University exhibit which highlights Park University's connection to the Titanic. A couple of Park graduates were part of a family of three that one of the few intact families that survived the sinking of the Titanic. The small but very interesting exhibit is at the university's Francis Fishburne Archives and Special Collection Space. The exhibit will be on display through the middle of June, maybe a little bit longer, but don't tarry. Get out there. It's in the underground portion at Park University, which is a fascinating place to visit anyway. We explore this, which is actually explored in depth in a book, A Rare Titanic Family, The Caldwell Story of Survival. That was written in 2012 by the great niece of Sylvia Harbaugh Caldwell. Albert and Sylvia were the two parents who went on the Titanic voyage with their 10-month-old son and ended up surviving it. That story will be told for us today by Carolyn Elwes, who is the university archivist, a delightful lady who I caught up with a couple of days ago. She is the one who runs many of the exhibits at the university and is a great historian and storyteller, and we visit with her coming up next right here on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing, right here on the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is Where Integrity Matters. Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Get a refreshing change of your expectations of a sports bar and restaurant at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Matt Llewellyn's welcoming spot at Clinton Parkway and Castle covers all the bases, like their own handcrafted beers and all the televisions you need for great sports viewing. But it's the large, varied, and delicious menu that stands apart. From a favorite of mine like the awesome ahi tuna appetizer to great sandwiches, outstanding pizza, and truly fantastic entrees, the 23rd Street Brewery has it all. Matt and his friendly staff make it that much more enjoyable. Food until 10, fun until late. The 23rd Street Brewery is a can't-miss stop when you are in Lawrence. Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews, and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code Clinkscale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape. Carolyn Park has a unique connection to the story of the Titanic, which, of course, has become, well, we were talking about it before, a cottage industry of its own, multiple motion pictures, including the one that was just mammothly successful in 1997. But the connection regarding the exhibit and Park's connection to that is about a small family that ended up being on the Titanic and survived being on the Titanic and lived long and healthy and fruitful lives. But that connection is special. And how did actually it come to be known and made a historical type of thing to you?
Well, Park people had known about our relationship to the Titanic since the 1950s and actually since 1912. But the first article I have seen published about it on campus within recent times was in 1956 when a small article appeared in our alumni magazine regarding Albert Caldwell and his wife Sylvia Harbaugh Caldwell and their son were reported as being one of the rare intact families who survived the Titanic. And that got my attention because I wasn't really aware of it until I looked that up. And both Albert and Sylvia had come to Park in between 1901 and 1902. Albert was from Iowa, and Sylvia was from Colorado, but both had a very strong Presbyterian family background. Albert's father was a minister, and Sylvia's family were devout Presbyterians. And that matters because both were very bright and both wanted a college education, but could not afford it at other schools and knew that Park College accepted students who had very little money if they were willing to work. So after making sort of a down payment, for want of a better word, a small payment, they could work half of their days at half a day at Park and then go to class. And the work was the type that maintained the college, from construction to farming to laundry, everything. And it did not totally pay for their tuitions, but it offset the cost dramatically because the school didn't have to hire labor. So while they were in school, they both participated fully in campus life in a variety of ways. But that's our connection, which is Albert and Sylvia. And it's a very interesting story that has tentacles because it's been getting us a lot of attention since 1997 when the movie came out.
They, subsequent to their graduation, they would go to Siam, which is now Thailand, and to become missionaries, missionary teachers, I guess right. Albert would be. But then after having a child, Sylvia fell ill and they decided they wanted to return to this country. And the first part of the voyage to England was rough, and she became seasick. So he wanted to make the second leg of the trip more comfortable, ironically enough, and succeeded in doing so.
Yes, he succeeded in getting them passage on the Titanic, which was very difficult to get because of the maiden voyage. Because of his being its maiden voyage, and so many people wanted to get on the ship. I'm not sure how he did it, but he managed to get tickets in second class.
In second class, there are three classes, obviously, as we saw in the movie, and mostly the third class was immigrant class. So this wouldn't be, steamship accommodations, but it wouldn't be luxury accommodations either. So,
well, it wasn't luxurious, but by 1912 standards, it certainly was. They had basically what was like a hotel room, but didn't have the the reception areas and all the other things that the first class people did. So they were quite comfortable accommodations for second class. And I really can't establish at this point exactly how much the ticket cost, but they had enough to pay for it and got on the ship.
Well, getting on the ship obviously was a mixed blessing, to say the least, or probably not even a mixed blessing, but they did end up surviving it, and were on a portion of the ship where there was a little less, the side of the ship, there was a little less traffic, and the young boy, perhaps, at least according to some stories, was the reason that Albert was able to get on to Lifeboat 13.
Yeah, that part of the story is a little complicated, particularly like so many people, when the ship hit the iceberg, it woke them up because they felt the jarring feeling. Albert went up on deck to see what was going on and could see nothing. Nobody was running around. Nobody was saying anything. So he went back to the cabin, and soon they were awakened by a steward knocking on the door.
So he went back to bed.
He went back to bed. And, wouldn't you?
I guess.
It's cold out there. So,
right.
At any rate, they got on their life jackets and all, and were told to leave immediately, and were looking for the keys to their trunk. But they handed those to their baby earlier, and he'd been playing with them and lost them. The trunk had all of their money, all their documents, everything that identified them, their clothes, the rest of their clothes, and they couldn't find the keys, and that took them a while, so they were kind of late getting up on the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did go up, they were directed to the starboard side of the ship. The port side apparently was where most of the people were first directed, and that's where the huge crowds were. And by the time they got up on deck, the boat deck, the starboard side was not full of people trying to get into the boat. And so Albert definitely was questioned after his survival as, why did you survive? I mean, all these other men went down with the ship heroically, and it was amazing that he did survive. I may not have the numbers exact, but out of the 168 or so second-class male passengers that were on the ship, only 14 survived. So Albert was one of 14 out of over 150, which is rare.
So when the lifeboat is filling up, his wife gets on. Apparently, according to the stories, there are no other women on deck who are waiting to get on, and he's holding a baby, so that perhaps is the reason that he was able to board the lifeboat. I don't think we know for certain, but that's one of the stories anyway.
Well, Albert first told the story in 1912 after they had been brought back to America and were on their way across country to Colorado to Sylvia's family. And he stopped here in Parkville and gave a speech or gave his account of survival in our chapel in 1912. And that's when he said the lifeboat came down, Mrs. Caldwell got in, and seeing no other ladies, Mr. Caldwell with babe in arms stepped into the boat. Well, it was corroborated that there weren't a lot of ladies waiting to get in. Mm-hmm. So other men were boarded too. He wasn't the only one. But there's several different versions of how he did get in the boat other than that one.
But that's certainly the more glamorous and the story that would put him in the best light. Of course, in the most recent movie, mm-hmm. there's somebody who gets on the boat in nefarious ways, and obviously you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. But the one story that was from an eyewitness who was also in Lifeboat 13 was one of the stokers was on that boat to help steer it and to guide it. And he said when the Caldwells came